Well, good evening once again. Welcome to We the People Prepping. This is Dan. Tonight we're going to talk about canned foods, canning foods, food preservation, and stuff like that. Alright, I've been canning for years. I was brought up by my grandparents mainly. I was bounced around a lot between family members, but most of my family always canned foods out of the garden. Okay? And it wasn't that long ago I opened a 20-year-old jar of apple butter that my grandmother had made shortly before she passed. But it's still just as good and flavorful as it was when she canned it. But here's some things that I've been reading, okay? I have read about the shortages in canning jars as well as lids, and I've experienced those myself. I mean, I recently went to Walmart and they had some, and they would only allow you to buy one case of each. Like I bought the full quarts, I bought the pints and half pints to can my foods with. Now, I could not find lids out at Walmart, so I'm still on the lookout for more lids. But there was a lot more people this last year canning foods because really they had nothing else to do, so they were actually trying their hands at gardening and canning and all that. Those of us that have been doing it for years, I mean, I've got a ton of jars, but I always want to buy more, and I have given away some of my older jars to other people to can with. Not that they weren't good or anything, they were just kind of stained up, some of them, but they were still good, and they're still proper to can with. Here's a problem a friend of mine had this last year, and they had asked me and I told them not to do it, but they went ahead and they did it anyhow, and it was a mess. It really was. They couldn't find any canning jars, and I didn't have any more to give away to people. I was keeping what I had to can with. Now, what they did was they started saving up jars from the stores for, like, when they'd go out and they'd buy spaghetti sauce in a jar or whatever, they would save that jar to can their foods in again. Now, see, that's a huge mistake, because those jars that you buy at the stores, okay, that already have food in them, those are not made of tempered glass. Okay, they're a one-time use jar. They're not meant to be used again and again for canning. Okay, so since they're not tempered glass, they're weaker. Like our ball jars are made of tempered glass, so they're meant to be used over and over and over again. But these jars are not. They didn't listen to me. They went ahead. They made up some spaghetti sauce, and they tried canning some other stuff, some green beans and stuff, and they had these in their like the spaghetti sauce, they were water bathing them, and they cracked. Okay, so of course you're not going to be able to preserve food in it if it's cracked. Okay, if you have a jar that has a crack or a chip in it or whatever, discard that jar. Just get rid of it, because it's no good. It's a weakened jar. Okay, the odds are if it's got a crack in it, you're probably going to get air into your food, and it'll cause it to spoil. But anyhow, like their green beans, when they went to pressure can their green beans, I mean, the jars exploded in the pressure canner. Okay, they were not meant to be reused. And like I said, I tried to warn them, but they wouldn't listen. They had to learn their lesson the hard way. So do yourself a favor and do not try to reuse jars from the stores. like I said, the spaghetti sauce, and there's other jars, like there's jelly jars that people try to reuse and stuff. It's not a good idea. Okay, the odds are it's going to crack, or it's going to bust, or just totally explode. So don't do that. Okay. Now, on to canned foods. All right. Oh, wait, just one second. There was an article I was reading. I thought it was kind of funny. It said that you can't can tomatoes. My mother did. So the title caught my attention. So I went in and I read it. And what they're talking about is they're saying that today's tomatoes don't have the same acidity level that they had back in our grandparents' days because of all the crossbreeding and I can't even say the word, whatever. Anyhow, because a lot of our tomatoes are hybrids now. Now, see, I don't can hybrid tomatoes. I only can my heirlooms. Okay. Now, if I was going to can hybrids, okay, if I'm not sure that the acidity level is where it should be, there's a simple solution. Just add some lemon juice. Now, the bottle lemon juice that you get at the store, you know what I'm talking about. That's the best thing to use for it, because they're in order to be manufactured, it is required to have a certain acidic level to it. Okay, and it has to meet those standards. So put a little bit of that lemon juice in there, and you should be fine. Okay, but because a lot of these hybrids have been bred to where they don't have a very high acidic level. So, it's always a good idea if you're canning a hybrid tomato to add a little lemon juice to it to bring that acidic level up. That way you can just pressure can it, or not pressure can it, water bathe it, and it'll be fine. That was basically the moral of the story that I read. But I mean, it had some interesting facts in there. So if you are going to, just like I said, put some lemon juice in there. Now onto your canned foods. There's a lot of people out here that think the expiration date or use by date means that once it's past that date, the food's no good. This is absolutely bullshit. Okay, I was reading an article not that long ago about your canned foods, and your canned foods that you get at the store are manufactured under such strict guidelines by the FDA and all that they basically have an indefinite life on the shelf. Okay, as long as they're stored in the proper temperatures and kept out of sunlight and so forth, not dented, or anything like that. But there's so many people that are afraid to eat foods that are, past their expiration date. Now, I have ate foods that's 10, 15 years old, canned foods. When my grandfather passed away, he had a can of Spam that had been sitting on his shelf for forever. It was way past the expiration date. I still ate it. I'm still alive. It didn't taste as good. The consistency wasn't as good as regular Spam. And yes, I like Spam. A lot of people don't, but I do. I was brought up on it. I love the stuff. Unfortunately, it's extremely high in sodium, so got to watch the blood pressure, now that I'm getting older. I mean, I have great blood pressure. It's 126/65 the last time that I had it taken. So that's good for a man my size and everything, and the poor diet that I have. But anyhow, I have a sister that if it's within a couple of days of that used by date, best of used by date, she'll throw it out. And I'm yelling at her all the time, don't throw those cans out. I will take them. Okay, you don't want them because that best buy date is getting close. Okay, give it to me. I'll take it. I'll still eat the stuff. You know, but this article that I was reading basically says that that it, you know, and it was doctors and scientists that had wrote this. Anyhow, they were talking about the strict manufacturing process and how the cans are made and everything now. That the food basically has an indefinite shelf life and would be safe to eat 10, 15 years down the road. Okay. Some of it, you know, they even said that some of the food's probably still good 20, 30 years from now. Okay. I don't have a problem with it. You know, they said, of course, you know, smell it and look at the texture and the coloring. Now, I think if it has like a white film or something on it, you want to throw it out, but you'd have to read the article. I think I saved the link to it. I might, if I did, I'll post it in the description below. But, you know, a lot of people don't understand that just because it's best diffused by does not mean that it's gone bad. It just means that you're going to get the optimal flavor of the food if you use it by this date. It doesn't mean it's gone bad. Okay? It just means that it may not taste quite as good after that date. Now, see, the FDA has no rules or regulations that require these companies to put an expiration date on foods whatsoever, you know, the canned foods whatsoever, because basically the FDA admits that once it's canned with the process, as long as it's manufactured the way that it should be, that the food would stay good indefinitely. You know, I read an article not that long ago too about there was a ship that went down in a river here in the United States. It had canned goods on it. Well, it sunk like 150 years ago. Okay, now they managed to salvage the ship here recently, and the jars of food were still intact. Okay, they'd just been submerged under the water. The seals were still intact for the cans and everything, and this was home canned foods, you know. Anyhow, they brought it up, they took it to a lab, they tested it. Had no botulism or nothing like that. It had lost a little bit of its nutritional value and a little bit of its consistency, but it was still recognizable as the food that it was, which I think they had green beans and corn and stuff like that. Anyhow, and it was deemed safe to eat still. Now, they did find volunteers to eat to taste the food, and they said that it was a little lacking in flavor, and the consistency was not quite what it should be, you know, like fresh would be, but it was still edible. Like I said, when they tested it, there was no botulism or anything like that. It retained the large majority of its nutritional value. It's just the color and the consistency may not have been the same as it was when it was canned. So, you know, foods will stay good as long as they're processed properly. I mean, that's all there is to it. You know, so, you know, if you've got can of, you know, tuna that's been in your pantry for, say, 10, 15 years, odds are that can of tuna is still good. You know, same way with your green beans and corn and stuff. So, you know, just because it's past its expiration date doesn't mean that it's no good. Now, dairy products and stuff like that, yeah, they're not going to retain for very long because they have to be refrigerated, you know. But if you store your canned goods between 50 and 70 degrees, keep it out of sunlight, you know, and keep a low humidity level, that food's going to last for God knows how long. You know, just be smart about your food. you know, where you store it, what the temperature is, the humidity level, you know. But I mean, like I said, I've ate foods that were 10, 20 years past due. It's not a big deal. It still tasted pretty much as good as it would have fresh, you know. So don't be fooled by those expiration dates. Companies, basically, to be honest with you, a lot of the companies put those on there so that you will throw away good food and buy more. That's the whole purpose of that, really. Because, I mean, you know, they know there's people like us out here that store food away for a long period of time. Okay? So, in order to get people like us to rotate through the food more, they put an expiration date on there and try to get you to believe that it's not going to be good past that date. Do your own research. Look it up. The information's out there. You know. But anyhow, this has been Dan with We the People Prepping. If you like my content, please hit the subscribe button. Share my content with your friends, family, you know, on your social media pages. Ring the little bell icon to let you know whenever I upload a new video. Give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. That's up to you. If you want to email me, my email will be in the description below. If you'd like to support my channel, there are links below for that as well. Anyhow, you all have a good night. God bless. Stay safe. Bye-bye.